Hey guys, new video here, day 6 of Harvest League. I've been playing the same build the whole time. It is a Chow's SpellSlinger. Never played SpellSlinger when it came out in the previous league, so it's completely new to me. And there are some confusing aspects of it, and I got message actually on like Discord and Twitter about like, hey, do you have like the very beginner version of it? Can you like kind of explain how it works? So I decided to make this video. There are a lot of other SpellSlinger videos out there. You'll see some popular ones like VD and stuff like that, but this one I think is really cool. And it's kind of like a good league starter. It doesn't really require anything at all, since SpellSlinger is usually working off of 3 and 4 links at league start. So before that, let me just do a map real quick. This is a just a regular tier 12, so not that hard or anything. So you can see how the build looks, and so you can decide, do you even want to maybe pursue this? So I'm gonna run a Ironheart on here because like the red beast and the yellow beast are notoriously like tanky sometimes. And then you can see how it plays. So I am a Trickster right now, right? Shadow starting, and then into a Trickster because I like how you get the free Cinder Swallow Flask, and I also like how you get some little bit of like defenses, and you get a little bit of damage as well. So it's like very well balanced, and the cast speed and everything that you get leads itself or lends itself into going self cast, which is casting Contagion into Essence Drain if you want to go that route for a lot more damage, and it will kind of like carry you through the red maps, the higher tier red maps, with all the juice on it as well. So right here, what I'm doing is my E and my right click is my frenzy. You see that green bolt shooting out? That's my attack. You need a wand attack to trigger your spells. So when I wand attack, what's going on is, let me dodge this one real quick, is my frenzy casts a Contagion, a Soul Rend, which is like that little swirly like curving projectile. It looks celestial, and that ball, that celestial ball, is my Essence Drain, right? So with one click you are casting everything. And the big decision with going SpellSlinger is pretty much just that. Are you someone who wants to play with just one click? You click once, you cast all the spells you want, and as you can see, the Contagion is like clearing, it's like chaining all around. You can get a lot bigger AoE to the Contagion than this. Are you someone who wants to click once and cast all your spells at the loss of a little bit of single target damage, or do you want to have a lot higher single target damage for these dot builds at the expense of you might have to click twice? And then in some scenarios, I have basically a 5-link Essence Drain, because what's going on is the SpellSlinger is like a kind of like a dead link in a way, so you don't really have a true 6-link. Now, it's good that the Essence Drain doesn't actually benefit from the 6-link until you pretty much get an Empower, because of the way the damage links on it work. So it's kind of okay, and it's especially powerful in the early stages when leveling and early maps. You're going to feel like kind of OP with this build. Let me level this up a little bit. And then another thing to note about it is that you're kind of making up for that loss of the 6-link and the extra levels provided by, let's say, using a bow, by having other spells in there. So I have a 4-link Soul Rend. Now, Soul Rend has like really high dot damage for a skill, because it has such a low duration, right? So that's how it's kind of balanced. And so this is just a yellow beast right here. Let me get to the boss real quick. All right, so what I'm doing is I just pop my flask and I cast once, right? E or right click is my frenzies, and even if you're out of mana and you attack, it will still work. So I go in here, right? I'm gonna kill this blue pack. I'm gonna drop a Wither Totem. Wither Totem is like a more damage modifier, and then so this is the boss. You can see on the red map. I can cast a little Whale Blight, I guess. It doesn't really matter too much, and he's kind of slow, and then he dies, right? So not the insane damage that you'll see out of hitting, critting, some of these elemental or physical builds, but it is pretty strong. And so let me just go back to town, and the only problem that I have on this build as of right now is Conquerors like Drox take absurdly long to kill, okay, because of just how they work. Even Al Hasmin, which has a little bit of Chow's Resist, and the other 2 Conquerors aren't too bad, but in a single target scenario, and sometimes if you have a really crazy map that's really juiced up, you might find that your boss you'll be waiting around, right? It's not like that instant kill the boss, go back to town, put in a new map. It's a little bit like, is he gonna die anytime soon? And you put out a Wither Totem, you can get pretty scary, right? Because the longer the boss stays alive, the more chance they have to like one-shot you and stuff. So that was map showcase, and pretty much any white, yellow, and low tier red map is gonna feel like that. You click once, all your spells go out, and then everything dies. It chains all over the place. So let's go into the basics of how it works. Once again, I'm Trickster. Initially, for the life-based version, I went Patient Reaper first, and then Prolonged Pain, and then I went Swift Killer and Weeb the Arcane. Since switching to low life, I have taken out of Weave the Arcane and Swift Killer, and I've gone into this. And I'll go over the life gear a little bit later as well. So this is like the skill tree here for a low life version. You can change some things up on here. For example, I didn't even take like Arcane Vision. You might want that for the darker maps. You can like take out like the AoE here, and you can kind of like do whatever you want. And shift this around. Some people don't even take this right here, and this is the tree for the life-based version. You're basically just dropping all the ES nodes, right? So you wouldn't go energy from within, you wouldn't go like stuff like this, and you would just take the life nodes pretty much. Like there's life nodes here, there's life nodes here, so you can go up through here. There's life, obviously you would still take these. There's life nodes here, so cruel prep is very strong, right? There's life nodes right here, life nodes right here. So you just shift everything in the skill tree around into that. I'll link a couple POBs. I'll link this POB as well as the starter life-based version POB that I was practicing with leveling pre-league with special thanks to Killer for that initial tree that people might want to start with, right? All it needs is like 3 and 4 links, so pretty hilarious. And other notable things about the tree that may have changed is that since 3.11, what we're looking at is we have elusive on the tree, so that's pretty badass, right? We have that. And dot multi got nerfed a little bit around the thing, but it's not going to really hurt your build that much, right? We still take the pain attunement because we are on low life. Low life counts as being under 35%, so you can just do 0.35 multiplied by your total life, and then if you have that number, right, or lower, if it's a fraction, you just round up. If you have that number or lower, you will have the pain attunement buff. If you're ever scared of like if you have it or not, you can just take out your SpellSlinger in your main link, look at your essence drain dot damage, right? Unspec this with 1 regret orb, and then it should go down by 30%. And then that's how you will know that that it works. Okay, if you're really worried about it. Okay, other things I've taken on a tree to talk about is like there are some nodes, for example, like there's some block nodes here and stuff, and then I'm gonna put a thread of hope right here so I can take glancing blows. And the reason for that is like my shield, Prism Guardian, is a 22% chance of block, nothing too special there. But if I add in a Rummy's Concoction later on for like 20/10 attack spell block later on, and I get the glancing blows and double that, and I have the stuff added on the tree, it can become pretty crazy. Very good defensive, but I'm not ready to make that move yet because I just feel like I need a few more levels. I'm currently level 93, and that is the next shift that I go into, right? And it's okay because if you look at my defenses, I'm like way over capped on this. I can even shift this around a little bit to be perfectly LE weakness capped after I take even a -20 thread of hope jewel, right? So resist no problem on this build since you have a lot of rares. Let me dump some of these items here so I can start talking about the other parts of the build. So the main links that I'm doing is I chose to go with a 6-link essence drain. You can go 6-link soul run if you want, it's totally fine. I just like the duration of it a little bit better. I want to know that when I run off screen and I've hit a pack, right, that's not some especially tanky pack like a bestiary mob or a boss, I want to know that's going to die. And the essence drain duration is absurdly long, okay, after all the stuff on the tree and your sensi. So I took an essence drain efficacy. This efficacy actually needs to be corrupted. Let's say I get a 2120, that'd be pretty sick. Boom. Oh, 2023, pretty good. So efficacy, control destruction, void manipulation, SpellSlinger, and then swift affliction. Now these two gems, if you've seen since 3.9, swift and void manipulation awaken right now are kind of expensive, but they very quickly go to like 10, 20, 30C, right? Well, I should go the other way, 30, 20, 10C for awakened versions. This has happened every league. I don't expect this to be any different. So another good part about the build is that your awakened gems are very, very cheap, okay? Now, something that I wish that I would like for my essence drain is I would like to get a pierce craft on the gloves. I could actually craft it right here because it's a prefix, and that ES craft right there is a prefix. And why is pierce important? Because for soul rend, it's not important for soul rend, right? I have a soul rend right here because soul rend auto pierces and it kind of like seeks out the enemies. But essence drain, although they did update it, so for example, if you look right here when I cast my essence drain, you see that? You see that explosion, that celestial explosion, the circle about this big? They changed essence drain a few patches ago to where when it hits, like let's say June is the monster, that explosion applies the essence drain in an AoE now, right? Really, really good. and that is because it can hit more, so you can be more lackadaisical with your Contagion. However, that AoE, I find, although very good, is not enough sometimes, because like you can get blocked, there can be desync, there can be a wall, or like hidden terrain, invisible monsters, what have you. So I would really like a penetration, and even one penetrate, or sorry, not penetration, I would like one pierce, because even one pierce would be amazing. It would allow me to go past this first mob and possibly extend my Contagion and Essence Drain a little bit more. So I highly recommend using a craft. It is a prefix on the gloves. It is called like it's plus projectiles pierce 1 additional time. That's really all you need. And then it's also plus 1 level of the socketed projectile gems. So then you can put your Soul Rend in there or your Essence Drain in there, whichever one you're not 6-linking, and that's really strong. Right, as you saw in that last map, it's not a big deal, but on certain mobs, you know, especially let's say there's like an invulnerable mob or something like that, I do notice that +1 pierce will really help me out. In the past, when you play Essence Drain, you could have taken a node over here, right? There's something called where is it? Right here, piercing shots. It used to be, I think it used to be like a 3 node off this branch, but they changed the skill tree a little bit here, and as you can see, this is a lot of points. If you're life based, it's a little bit better because you can get Blood Drinker and it's life here and stuff, and then you go down here, and then there's a nice cluster jewel here, and this is very strong, these defensives, and you could get it, but that was too much investment for me, right? My tree was a little bit stretched, so I couldn't do that. So I will be going with the glove craft, and that's you can also kind of, it's also kind of fine, because if you look on these harvest options, like let's say I had open prefixes, which I do, if I drop the ES here, you're like, oh no, I lost some ES, but on a life-based version of this, you doesn't matter. And on the ES based version of this, it's like, well, I can just craft on the defense modifier and then just keep going that way, right? So that's totally fine. Not really a big deal. So for wands, we are looking for +1 wands if we can. I'm gonna go over like as I go to this, I'll go with what I was using before as a life-based version before I upgraded all my stuff, and all the stuff was super cheap on the life-based version. Like most of it was still self-found. Like I was using an amulet that I had found at level 28 from the Solaris Temple quest until I was like level 90. I was using this wand, which I got very early on, I think in like Act 3 for a long time. You know, like this shield, you can like see this is like a solo self-found shield. Like these boots are pretty basic stuff. I was using a goal, which at the time of this recording is 1C, and I was using these gloves. This is the enchant I was talking about, +1 to socketed project gems and projectiles pierce an additional target. So now I'm using a +2 wand because I need to squeeze out the damage on here, because on some of the single target I just felt like I was like falling asleep, you know. I was like, oh my god, like it is taking so long. So I want to squeeze out every little bit of damage, and plus levels is like a more multiplier. You can think of it about like 10% more damage, right? I have it on my amulet too. So wands plus levels, something like this to get you started. This should be like 1C or something like that. And then my amulet, this was 100C, and you can see how bad it is, right? But the value of it comes from the +1 to all, right? This is kind of a new thing. If you've been out of PoE for a while, you have affixes that apply to all of your gear. So it's essentially like a corruption on a chest, except for you don't need to, you know, shell out the money for it. You can just put it on another item. So I have +2 here and +1 here. That's really nice. If one day I do get a +1 plus on the shavs or something, that'd be like pretty hilarious, right? Because then your damage would actually be kind of, you would feel okay with your damage. So that's the weapon. Now with low life, I am using this because with that affix of 25% reduced mana reservation and the zealotry, the discipline, and male violence in here, these three barely take up any of my life, right? Like I have often people in my stream be like, are you sure you're on low life? And yes, you are on low life. So it's like this with actually I forgot to turn one of these on. I forgot to turn this on. That with charisma and sovereignty, these wheels here, which reduce mana reservation even further, and they do work for the SpellSlinger, by the way. Lots of confusion on that too. I am able to have them barely reserved. So you might go, why did you take all these wheels? If for example, if I dropped charisma, I would be at like just a few life and it would still work, right? I'd save 4 skill points. Well, that's because if you look right here, the SpellSlinger itself takes a lot of mana, because the way that SpellSlinger works is that there's a base mana reservation for the SpellSlinger. Where is it? And so you know what like blasphemy does to curses? Curses, if you cast them, they don't take up any mana, right? But if you blasphemy them, they take up a percentage of your mana, and that's what SpellSlinger does. It reserves your mana and then it gets multiplied by the support gems. So it's a base 15 I believe it's the base 15 mana cost, right? Or like 20% mana cost, wherever it is, and then that gets multiplied by the support gem. So if you have a let's say a efficacy support, which is a 1.3 multiplier, 1.3 times the base, and then you can kind of scale that up. If you're ever worried about how do I get the mana, I don't think I'll have enough mana. Go in POB. POB will show you in the left side your unreserved mana, right? As long as that's like 1% or a greater, you're fine. I mean, even if it's 0%, you should be fine technically, because it triggers off an auto attack. So for example, if I auto attack with my wand, you see, I still cast 3 spells. It doesn't require any mana. You can run cannot regen maps. A little bit annoying because, you know, Flame Dash, Wither Totem, and these things do cost mana. And then obviously the Frenzy gets you frenzies, so it's like, you know, you might want a little bit of mana for that, but like this costs 10 mana. It's like nothing, right? Mine is unlinked. Even if you link it to a faster attack, it's going to cost nothing. And another thing you can do is a prefix on a ring is very easy to sacrifice. Like, you don't really need prefixes, so you can put in the Elrion -8 craft if you really want to, and that Elrion -8 craft will allow your frenzy to be free. Well, in this case, if you have one of them, it will be 2 mana, and then if you have 2 of them, obviously it will be free. It'll also make your Flame Dash and other things cost less, like the Wither and everything. So it's like actually really, really nice, because I only have 47 mana here. So with that said, that is my reservations, why I'm taking up the reservations. Life-based, you will not be running any auras, because you just simply can't afford it on the mana. Your mana is going to be all taken up, and you're going to be casting the Essence Drain, the Contagion, which are completely necessary, and then the Soul Rend, the links you can like shift around a bit depending if you want more coverage. So Soul Rend 4 link is right here. I am using, because once again, I really need to squeeze out all the DPS I can. So I have SpellSlinger, obviously. SpellSlinger is the core of the build, so you cannot change that. Efficacy is just the best. Soul Rend, and this last one I went Control Destruction because I need damage. You can go GMP, LMP, or whatever else you want. Like if you're constrained on colors, if you only have a green, you can do like, you know, Void Manipulation or Swift Affliction. If you have a blue, you can go Control Destruction. If you have a red, maybe put in like increased duration or something. I don't even know, but like depending on your colors, you can swap this out a little bit. But I recommend also testing out GMP and LMP for you, because you might be running a lot of open maps, you might be running a lot of closed maps, so you might need or not need the more projectiles. Depending on personal preference, it won't make a big deal, because the bulk of your damage comes from the Essence Drain, and the Contagion will spread it. So don't worry too much about that. One thing to know is a thing I could swap is I could take out, I can get a Corrupting Blood on a jewel somewhere. Like maybe I get a Corrupting Blood Energy from Within, or just a regular Corrupting Blood rare jewel, and that way I can drop the Staunching Flask and go a Dying Sun. A Dying Sun would give me 25% AoE for my Contagion, which is Radius, which is very, very good, because it allows you to spread just a little bit further, or from one pack to a separate pack a little bit further on the screen, and it is noticeable. Trust me, every radius you get for Contagion is very, very noticeable. So Dying Sun, AoE for Contagion. Also, the Dying Sun is +2 projectiles. So now, you know that issue I was talking about with the Essence Drain Explosion AoE being like a little bit small, maybe I want some Pierce? Then that's solved, because the Dying Sun also adds 2 projectiles. So with that, what would happen is the Dying Sun Soul Rend would gain 2 projectiles on the side, so more coverage there. It auto pierces, it all seeks enemies a little bit to each side, so big coverage there. And then the Essence Drain, if you have 3 of them, obviously you can imagine like it would cover this entire Contagion circle, so almost guaranteed spreads, right? Having 1 pierce additional on the glove still would be good, because now you have 3 projectiles piercing 1, so super coverage. You never have to worry about spreading your Essence Drain, or like any like pesky doorways or any shit like that. So that's really, really good. That is what I recommend. Now on my gloves, I have my Frenzy. Now Frenzy, when you're leveling up, you can start leveling Frenzy with things like faster attacks, right? Faster attacks Frenzy gets you out of the animation real fast, feels really good. But as a Trickster, once again, I don't really need the faster attacks. I don't notice it, because I'm not, if you saw that last map, I'm not like walking through and like, you know, pew 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 pew, like spamming, right? I'm walking, I'm dashing once, right? Walk, dash, attack once, attack once, attack once. I can always get my cast out, and it's not enough of an issue for me to get any faster attacks on this. However, there are some setups with this. So like early on when you're leveling, you can try out things like GMP or LMP. You can try out things like Curse on Hit Despair. Now I have a Despair Flask here, but if it runs out, then having a Curse on Hit reliable Despair is very, very good. You can try out that, okay? And there's other things you can do. If you think of something cool, you can do that. Flame Dash Arcane Surge is very, very nice because my Arcane Surge is set up in a way with the second wind that I have 4 charges. And watch this. When I click once, no matter where it is in the sequence, I get Arcane Surge. And that's like, I think that's like 10% more damage. So just by Flame Dashing, I'm getting 10% damage with 1 press. Very important note for Arcane Surge, your levels might be different. Do not level this ever to a point where you need 2 flame dashes to cast it. So the way that you can check this is you can look at flame dash right here, right? It costs 32 mana. So you need the Arcane Surge, the level of it, where is it? Where that very first blue text line, right? A total of 32 mana with support skills, right? 32, 32, perfect, right? I get it on every cast. So for example, if this was level to level 8 or something, or you can go on, very easily go on the wiki. I'll just show you that real quick here. Where is the wiki here? If I go on the wiki and you just type in Arcane Surge right here, oops, Arcane Surge support. Right, if you just want to check a web resource, you just scroll down here and you can see. So right here, you see how it tells you what you get for the level ups, and also tells you how much mana you need. So right here in this column, you see it tells you that the next level will be 41, 51, and you can kind of gauge like while you're planning what level you want to get it to, right? It's not a big deal if you over level it. You know, you can always scour it down one, and just remember, if you don't know, like right clicking on a skill gem when it levels, like deletes it from the right side, and that way it stays in this bottom tray without ever showing up again. So the Frenzy and the Arcane Surge are ready to be leveled, and you can see this stops me from accidentally clicking it here, right? So pretty damn good. Okay. So then another thing to note about the Arcane Surge is that there is a craft that you can do. Arcane Surge later on, if you decide to use certain weapons, Arcane Surge on kill is something that you can do. I think it's a 10% chance, but it's not as reliable, right? Because what if you're on a single target and there's only one boss, and then it goes like you've killed all the little ads, and you have Arcane Surge, and it falls off. You just lost 10% damage, right? Because there's no way that you can get that 10% chance to kill the boss and then get it for the boss. Does that make sense? So I like the reliability of having it on Flame Dash. Here I have SpellSlinger Contagion. SpellSlinger Contagion is once again that blue circle that spreads your dot, and the Contagion itself is linked with item rarity. It's only linked with item rarity because I chose to go with a little bit extra damage and aspect of the Spoder, and if I didn't have aspect of the Spoder, what I would do is, you see how this is unreserved mana, I would put an increased AoE here. Increased AoE with Contagion is super strong because it's so noticeable. Like your circle is massive and it'll just spread a lot easier, and you have to aim a tiny bit less. Okay, so that's this is just cause no mana multiplier, so I put it in. The Contagion doesn't even like kill anything. The Contagion dot is so weak that I'm pretty sure the other 2 dots will overtake it, so I'm not even sure you get anything out of this, but I had a free slot, so why not? I could level Enlighten here or something to sell it later, or you can do whatever you want with that extra slot. I have a Whale Blight just because it slows down enemies a lot. I don't really cast the regular Blight because it just locks you in place and it's really dangerous. But I think it just looks really cool. You can do things with Blight and a Spreading Rot Jewel. Spreading Rot Jewel can like go right here if you're life based. You know, it can go on the top. I believe it goes right here as well, right? And so that's pretty cool. But my Blight is just here for a little bit, slowing the enemies, slowing single targets, a little tiny extra little bit of damage. I have a Wither with a totem setup, spell totem and multiple totems. So if you look right here, I can have 3 totems total, right? And then those Wither casts, they stack. They go boo, 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 boo. You'll see a giant circle casting on monsters, and that's really good because the Wither, the way that it works, you can think about it as a stacking debuff that just constantly stacks up to a certain point. It's up to 20. You might not even have 20, depending on duration and what kind of thing you're killing, but it does stack to the point where it is a massive more damage taken multiplier. Since I don't really have any other more damage taken multipliers except for my Despair, it can be thought of as like, you know, let's say you have a 6 link, it can be thought of as a 7 link or an 8 link, right? It is that much damage, and you will notice like the boss health will be like going like this. It'll be like going and you'll pop your Wither totem, and after like a couple seconds of like 2 or 3 totems casting on it, it'll go and it'll just go all the way down to 0, right? Very, very good. Okay, other links that I have, did I talk about everything? That's about it, right? This is my Soul Rend, yeah, this is my Frenzy, and this is my Second Wind Flame Dash Arcane Surge. So, Another thing I'll talk about is like the rings. The rings are just ES or life, depending on what you're going. If you're life based, you'll get life and resist. Cap your resist, get some life, should be very cheap at this point in the league. This also same thing, get some ES or life, depending on what you are, and then get your resist. That's basically later on. I guess we'll have things like those synthesized implicits, but I don't think it's worth spending that much money on this build, since it's just like a really nice starter build that's pretty damn fun. One click viability. And then the belt, I started life base. I highly recommend Biscos. Biscos is pretty awesome as a life base because you don't lose out on a massive amount of ES that a crystal belt would provide, and you get rampage, which is a little bit of damage and move speed. Pretty awesome. You get like some cool effects like stun spears shooting at you and rampage bonuses. So that's a good choice there. I'm going with the crystal belt since I transitioned over to low life, and I have 5.8k right now. And then talk about the amulet, just getting plus levels on the amulet. This should be cheaper if you just want this mod. You can craft it yourself in the garden to add a bunch of mods that you want, but this is pretty cool. And then helmet is just like life and resists, right? If you're life based, and then just as much ES as you can get on there. I highly recommend using stuff like this when you start. Like now in the league, these things might be like one alchemy actually, but like look at this. Like this is what I was using for my gloves from like level from 0 to 90. These are the boots I was using. This is the shield I was using, this is the helmet I was using, and this is the wand I was using, right? So all the stuff was pretty cheap. On this build, the recent thing I added last night was just like this wand and the belt, but the gloves were extremely cheap. These boots might be like 2C at this point in the league. The shield is 3C. The rings are not worth anything. The shaft itself was 2.5 exalts when I bought it, and I linked it in 20 fusings. So that was pretty funny actually. Like I bought like 2 exalts worth of fusings, because fusings are like 500 to 1 right now, and then I don't know what to do with these yet, but I'll find out something to do later on depending on what's expensive. So the shaft is nice for low life. It's mandatory for low life, and this will bring you into the red maps quite easily. Helmet was actually pretty good. This helmet was like, I think it was like 20C. And yeah, so it's pretty good. I mean, look at my flasks. My flasks are nothing special. Not even alchemist quicksilver flask of adrenaline. I'm doing a sulfur flask. I'm doing a silver flask. Oh, one note about regen. I do take the Zealot's Oath because I have like a little bit of natural regen, but that doesn't really matter. The Essence Strain gives you massive regen, okay? So the Essence Strain will make this like fill up your ES very quickly if it is applying and giving you that buff. Okay, important to note, make sure you take this if you are energy shield based. Okay, super important, and it will save you from death a lot of times. Okay, so yeah, don't forget that. And then what else? Like for this wand, once again, buy like a 1 ouch wand like this. If you have the damage child's damage over time multiplier, you can craft that. It is a prefix, yeah, it's a prefix, and you can craft that on by unveiling weapons. I don't know if it's it that fled weapons. No, it that fled weapons is element or physical as extra chats. Okay, so I think the multi is just a regular unveil on the weapons, so you can craft that on yourself and then just get a +1 gems. And then same with the shield. And other than that, that's pretty much it. Once again, in the link below, or the card below, you will see a POB for the very start life-based version. And I'm telling you, 4 links on this build, 3 and 4 links on this build will carry you all the way through yellow maps and even the early reds, okay? It is that hilarious. And while leveling, I have never felt so good leveling with a build, because you click once, 3 spells go out, the entire screens die, chains really well, don't need any gear whatsoever, solo stuff unviable, like actually solo stuff unviable because you need nothing. I was using a tabby for a long time too, until like level 91, 92 or something, and it just worked. It was pretty awesome. You can look at my VODs for some of the recent stuff, and you can look at my VODs for the life-based version. Okay, those are all available on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/cutedog_, and you can see how the progression went. It was pretty fun. Other changes, I guess. I already talked about switching out the rummies for something, and I talked about switching into a dying sun for some convenience. That's all said and done. The jewels on the build, energy from within right here if you're going to go low life to take these nodes. Otherwise, just get rare jewels like this, right? Just get some damage on your rare jewels if you're life based. Percentage life, I believe you can do some like harvest stuff where you add on life modifiers, so you can buy like a 2 or 3 mod add on life modifier if it's there, add on a child's multiplier, so like you can go for the you know, it's called like augment, right? And you can like remove attack based things, or you can remove physical based things if they are on your jewels. You can craft your own jewels. This league, it's pretty good. It's a little bit time consuming, so I don't do that. I think it's a waste of time. But once again, if you're soul self-found, a lot of things you can do to get all the core components of the build and the little accessories, which will help you out a lot, right? These are just damage jewels. This one's complete garbage. I'm gonna put a thread of hope here so I can get glancing blows, and yeah, just rare jewels. And it's a fun build. It's very fun. I highly recommend it. I'm taking it pretty easy this league. I don't have any doctors or anything, but it's okay, right? And I think this build will, especially for newer players, it'll carry you. It'll make you feel so smooth in the game. It'll make you feel like, you know, you got nothing to worry about until the higher tier red maps, and then you'll be like, you'll be enjoying the game a lot more if you've never played a dot-based build like this before. Essence Drain has always been one of those builds where everyone knows that Essence Drain is good. Everyone knows that it's strong and it works and it's fun and it's cool when it chains around. But the most annoying thing was a double cast, having to cast a Contagion circle first and then the ED, right, for big damages. Well, now it's solved. It's just one click. You just walk around, you click once, everything dies, and it's pretty tasty build. So if you have any questions, you can just ask me on my Twitch channel. Once again, look down below for 2 POBs, a life-based starter, very basic starter version, and the current version that I have now with all the setups. Okay, not all the stuff is optimized. I'm sure if you play this for a while, you'll see things that you want to change, and I always advise, if you see something that you want to change or something that you might like better or something you want to test out, just do it, right? Let's say you don't want like this, or like you don't want this, or like this, you know, you can just change it and then you can play with it. And besides things like, I guess, like these Ascensies being mandatory, and I guess like Shaz being mandatory for low life version, you can do whatever you want with this build and kind of get pretty crazy with it. So okay, thanks for watching my video, and go follow my Twitch channel. And if you have any questions, I'll be live every day on Twitch, twitch.tv/cutedog_. Okay, bye guys, bye.